Are you ready for the heavyweight championship of the world? Are you ready?
All right, so,
what's the problem?
Yeah, all right, so first, let's get into the Insecure. So just a couple things. I know they had some backlash, and before we get into the backlash, me and Bill would like to share. We're part of Divine Nine fraternity, so we're Phi Beta Sigma members. Bill, what you crossed? What year?
I crossed fall 1997.
Exactly, and then I crossed after Bill. I'm fall of 2K6. Me and Bill are both deuces. We're number twos. So, and even prior to that, we grew up on some of the same content to where that's something we aspired to be as children. So I remember I got my first taste of Greek life from school days, showed up on a special presentation after A Living Color one night, and I just kind of fell in love with the process. My step team coaches throughout elementary, middle school, and high school were all MPHC members, like members of fraternities, historical Black fraternities. And then, Bill, you had a couple just mentors in your life that were a part of something, you know what I mean? To where, we always saw it. So I guess I got a couple questions for you, Bill, and I do not know where you stand on this. And I told you, don't give me your 2 cents because I didn't want you kind of poisoning the well, for lack of a better phrase.
Well, Bear, before you do that, let's give a little backstory.
Okay, what happened?
Basically, Insecure, which is in its fifth season. I don't watch Insecure, so everything I'm discussing is about what was told to me and what I've been researching. So there are characters on the show that are portraying themselves as members of Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and I guess this last episode, one of the characters was in a jacket, had the paraphernalia on it, and I guess someone on social media questioned it, and basically that pushed the snowball down the hill and is taking a life of its own right now.
All right, so and I do watch the show, so I mean, one of my homegirls put me on. It was like, hey, I make people watch movies, so she was like, hey, you don't have to watch this show. So I watched it. I liked it. I've been a fan of Issa since back in the day. She had a YouTube series, Misadventures of an Awkward Black Girl. So ever since then, I wanted her to win. She grew up on a lot of the same shows I watched. So there's a lot of Living Singles references in there. Well, characters that she brings on, either mentioned or starred. So I'm like, I appreciate her just kind of like showing love. So basically, like even though they're in their fifth season, I know there's also another character who plays Issa's best friend on the show. She's an AKA. It was a little bit more subtle where she would drink out of an AKA mug. And this time they went full out and put her in the jacket. So my question to you, Bill, is do you have an issue with this?
So this is my take on it. I grew up on School Days, as you stated. That was my first introduction to Greek life. And following that, I jumped right into a different world. So those are my two introductions to Greek life. School Days, you had some representation of the Divine Nine. The Kappas and the Alphas were on there. Dap's girlfriend at the time, she stated that she was going to pledge Delta. However, the main characters were a part of two basically made up groups: G5G, and the Gamma Rays. There is a fraternity called, or a service organization called Groove Phi Groove that utilizes obviously G5G. However,
but it's not
wasn't based on it. It's not Gamma Phi Gamma. So it wasn't based upon that. So you have that, and on Different World, you also have Kappa Lambda Nu, which is the
proud, the few, the men of Kappa Lambda Nu.
Which that's what Ron was a member of, who's also a member of
Alpha
Divine Nine. He's an Alpha as well. Whitley also, she was a part of Alpha Delta Rho. Alpha Delta Rho, which basically, if you look at it, is basically the AKs. It was,
and the AKAs were in that episode, by the way.
And the AKs Yes,
Yeah.
they were actually
in the back.
They had a line. But
yeah.
So I grew up on both of those, and those, I think that they understood the significance of a historically Black Greek letter organization.
Mm-hmm.
So they knew not to actually, they knew not to say that they were a part of that.
And it helps.
Sorority.
It helps that the showrunner was also, she's a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha as well.
And so, Spike Lee knew as well, being at Howard.
Yeah. So all right. So it sounds like
Morehouse.
It sounds like in a tactful way, you're saying not that basically you're saying it shows some negligence on Insecure's part. Am I getting that? That's what I'm getting.
I think personally, again, this is me, and I had discussions with other people. Some say, what's the problem? They're getting exposure, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I think personally, they could have just made a fake fraternity or sorority that has been done way before them.
All right, so here's what I'll say. So all right, I always believe there's two types of people in an organization. There's going to be the individuals who they're going to take it extremely serious when it comes to stuff like this. Like, hey, don't be touching my umbrella, or don't be touching my hat.
Yeah.
This hat is hot. And there's going to be the individuals that are extremely nonchalant. It's never any middle. It's always going to be one extreme to the other, right? So I think if you do a show, you have to be mindful of that sometimes the individuals that take it too serious, they may call you out. So am I offended? Number one, I'm not an AKA, so I'm not offended, but also do I understand why there's some backlash? Yeah, because I've been around Greeks long enough to know that some individuals are just going to take it extremely serious. Now, here's the thing. Because I respect Issa Rae so much, and I feel like this is definitely some negligence on like HBO's part. And I'm gonna give a different world example, right? And I may be right or wrong. So individuals, put your 2 cents in the comment section. Please. But all right. So it is very difficult to get respect to where you could just go to an embroidery shop and put letters of a fraternity, not just Divine Nine, but any fraternity on your paraphernalia. Bill, me and you love Different World. I tried to get Kappa Lambda Nu hat, which is a fake fraternity. And I went to 4 different places. They would not do the hat because it's like, oh, we don't rock with fraternities. If it's copywritten, it's like, we got to go to the nationals and stuff. I'm like, no, it's fake. This is a fake fraternity. I finally found a spot to do it. So that's how difficult it is to get access, right? Now, here's the thing. I think we need to be a little forgiving when stuff like this comes up, because as much as I respect Different World for not putting Me Fi Me, and when I say Me Fi Me, that's individuals that aren't part of a Greek-lettered organization, similar to the character on Insecure, which is Tiffany Dubois, which is Amanda Seales in real life. She's an AKA in the show, but not in real life. I'm not so sure this didn't happen in Different World, because I've always Googled this and I cannot find an answer. If somebody's out there can find an answer for me, there's a character on Different World. He actually has the most roles of any other character. That's Michael Ralph, who's the brother to Dee on Moesha, and also Rita's mom on Sister Act 2. Mm-hmm. I do not think he's an Alpha Phi Alpha member, but early in the early seasons, maybe like, let me say 3. So he's seen in the pit with the curl, and then also in Alpha Phi Alpha sweater. And then after that, they started putting him in Kappa Lambda Nu sweaters, which I'm like, okay, I think somebody must have checked her and was like, hey, you can't have actors in these Greek lettered outfits. Just hire extras, and then we'll bring some people from the nearby campus on or whatever. Now, I can't prove that but everywhere I look, Michael Ralph is not represented on their list of actors who are alphas. So to me, that shows, because Different World didn't have the luxury of social media, basically Debbie Allen was able to get called out behind the scenes to say, hey, chill. You might want to chill. And then she never looked back, and then she had it right from until the last season. So I'm saying we may need to get that same we may need to be as forgiving to Insecure, because I think when it's all said and done, Insecure is going to be regarded as a classic, and that's great advertising. My question is, hey, this isn't personal to me and you because we're Sigmas. If this happened with a Sigma, how would you feel?
Okay, so I'm gonna swing back around
to
something that you stated earlier. You have to also realize that, Bill Cosby, who's an Omega, he was still had his hand. He still had his hand in. So he also knows better, right? So although I'm not an AKA, obviously I'm not an AKA. We still are part of
a family. It's a family.
It's a family.
Yeah, it's a community.
So I wouldn't want anybody to, if you're not a member, wear any of my paraphernalia. And I understand why someone else doesn't want anybody to wear their paraphernalia. Now, to piggyback also what you said, I had people, well, not me personally, but I can walk in any Greek store here in Tampa, buy a shirt, and no one would question whether or not I'm in that fraternity. I had shirts made.
You buy them for probate shows?
I had jackets made. At no point did they ever question me, was I a part of that organization? So that's just the kind of, I know you stated earlier that it's hard to get something embroidered or made, but I had plenty of shirts and jackets made. Remember, they never questioned me at all.
I went to school in the same area you talking about, and it was just easier over there. Like I showed you the hat that I was going to get made, and I'm like, it's never this difficult. I had jackets made for some of the young bucks that was coming through the frat, and I'm like, why is it all of a sudden different nowadays? But I showed you that design, the Kappa Lambda Nu hat, and everybody was like, oh, we can't do this. We're not touching fraternity stuff right now. To where a lot of times the people who will touch it, they're those individuals where it's the LLC or sole prop, to where it's like Palladium that's right by USF or whatever. I guess because I went to a bigger place that was in the mall, just because they don't have a lot of those spots in closer to where I'm at. But no, I totally agree. I didn't understand it, but I know it's difficult. So now here's you brought up a valid point. It's not that difficult to get access to these letters, right? So what happens in this, it happened already, right? Somebody on staff got a jacket, got a hold of a jacket, and they put it on the actress who's not necessarily an AKA. If this was Sigmas, like obviously, like you said, we're all a community, but I have to make it applicable. I would probably feel a little like weird if it was like, okay, now they doing too much because the Sigmas or whatever. I don't know if it would get to the point where I'm going to go sell them out on Twitter. But how do you think, like, number one, I want to ask you, if this was Sigmas, how would you react, right? And how do you think it would get handled? Because I'll give you my 2 cents on that.
Okay, so I would, again, if it was my fraternity, I would feel a certain way. I want to use an example. Best man. Morris Chestnut, who's a Sigma, they made him, or they portrayed him to be an Omega in the movie. It was a scene where he said, Omega, whatever. But again, for me, what you are a Sigma. What's the issue with, you're saying you're a Sigma? Because for me, they're not going to take you out the movie. They want you. Hey, bro, I'm a Sigma. Like maybe the writer did not understand. Hey, this is for real. So he didn't. He went along with it. Right, so
Here's the thing. All right, so this is what I want to bring up, and Amanda Seals brought this up as well. Certain sites saying things, and when I was undergrad, remember, like we used to have our interest meetings, and we're telling people who, hey, these are Sigmas. My go-tos used to be like, hey man, we got the original members of the Temptations. That used to be my favorite one. Now we got some of the key members of Earth, Wind, and Fire. Morris Chestnut used to be one of those that we had on there, but there were also conflicting reports to where, are we positive he's a Sigma? I'm not sure about that. Terrence Howard was another one. At the time, it was like, wait, is Terrence Howard really a Sigma? Because the site is saying he's a Sigma, but it's not on our national website. So what's up? And then the other one was Blair Underwood, right? And then because of these rumors, which I'm going to actually answer how I think our fraternity would handle it. Blair at the time, there used to be sites that would say, oh, Blair is a Sigma, Terrence Howard is a Sigma. And then they weren't, but what our headquarters did was they reached out to those guys and they made them honorary Sigmas, because it's like, look, everybody think you guys are Sigmas already. And actually, we've actually got some membership intake because of you guys. Let's make this a better match to where we want you to be honorary members. I think that's how we could have put a bow on this. I really think that's what the AKA should have did, to where it's like, look, y'all wildin'. Hey, look, y'all tripping. Let's fix this up behind the scenes. You're portraying us in a positive light, which is awesome. This is a phenomenal show. People watch this show and they want to be like you. They want to be like Molly or whatever, to where it's like, hey, let's make you guys honorary AKAs to get this thing right. But now, if I'm one of those actresses, I don't want to rock with AKAs right now because they're getting cursed out and dragged.
So somebody else stated that, you also stated, it's publicity. Yeah. You and I agree. We know that they don't need publicity.
They don't. They've been here since 1906. Yeah.
They don't. There are three, I would say three for a fact, three organizations that do not need publicity. The Omegas, Q-Dogs, the Deltas, and AKs. And the reason why is because their popularity is scattered everywhere. They're so popular. You cannot hear Atomic Dog and not instantly think of Omegas. Everybody knows, if you see purple and gold, you hear Atomic Dog, everybody knows.
You hear a bark.
You know, but you know what it is. Now, again, what happened is, if you're using the shield, right? We know the shield.
I don't agree with that either. I think it was a misfire through staff. My thing is, okay, it happened. What does y'all cleanup duty look like?
But now, this is the thing. This is the thing, though. Yeah. The shield is trademarked. Yeah. You know about trademarks. Yeah. So if you jump back to Stump the Yard at the step show at the very end, right? All the Greeks are stepping, right? You see the Omegas. We know they're Omegas. However, the background is blurred out now. It's blurred out. Yeah. It's just purple. Same thing with the Sigmas and same thing with the Kappas. Yeah. You see no shield. We as Greeks know who they are because we know the colors and we know how certain steps go. But the likeness was there. However, the actual shield and certain things were not there because people have trademarked certain things, and you cannot, without without going through the channels and going through whatever, you cannot use my shield for your monetary gain or whatever.
Yeah, and I think typically you don't see big networks like HBO let stuff like that fall through the cracks. I would say they've been more responsible, because here's my thing when it comes to the fictional fraternities. Because I watch School Days nowadays and I feel a certain type of way that Sigmas don't have representation. So to me, Dab's crew was Sigmas to me. I'm like, no, those are the Sigmas. Those are my Sigmas in there. But so I would say it feels different when it's not the authentic. Even if you're not going to say the organization, if it's color wise, I'm like, those are the Qs, those are the alphas. I always appreciate that more than a fictional fraternity, right? So I think they were a little bit more responsible towards the earlier seasons when it was just like, it's always in the background. It's on a mug. Nobody's wearing it, to where somebody, like, I guess, wanted to tiptoe the line. Who knows? This could be a publicity stunt. This whole thing could be actually a publicity stunt. Like Issa and them could have been like, oh, okay, this is, I don't know. I don't think they want to smoke like that. But I would say, okay, it happened. At the end of the day, I feel like it was a misfire. Somebody who didn't understand how serious this was did it. And then I do feel like just me listening, I'm always mindful when the Divine Nine is portrayed in a negative light, because these are people that I grew up like looking up to. I had female teachers who were Deltas, SG Rose, Zetas, AKAs. So whenever you say something negative about them, I'm like, it kind of reminds me of my elementary school teacher, et cetera. Mm-hmm. The overwhelming majority on social media is this paints the AKAs in a negative light. I don't care how much publicity you don't need. I don't care how much community work you do. Stuff like this may only be a trending topic for a week, but it is painting it's making them look petty. And that's why I was like, hey, this could have been handled a different way, I think. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like having possibly like a neophyte or a younger individual say something on Twitter and then everybody snowballs. It should have been a couple of folks that stood up to be like, hey, actually, I see where y'all could have did a couple of things different, but I'm gonna just blame that on ignorance. But hey, for future references, this is not what we do. You know what I mean? However they were responding, it egged Issa in a way to where she was like, well, I guess we're gonna have to delete 5 more episodes because it's gonna be an ongoing theme. And now it's like,
well, I tell you what, if they send that a letter, or which is going to come from it's going to come from their nationals.
Yeah.
You cannot use my stuff.
That's what I'm saying. But even the idea of, to me, these things shouldn't be happening to where you got a show that's about to enter the lexicon of Black classics. Mm-hmm. You also have an organization that's been here forever. You know what I mean? This thing been here forever. So it's like, boom, find a way to peacefully resolve this, because to me, that's not a good look. You know what I mean? It's like,
okay, but Different World is cemented as one of the greatest shows of all time, in my opinion, obviously.
Yeah,
I don't look at Kappa Lambda Nu as like, dang, it's made up. I'm thinking like
some of that is
pretty dope.
Yes, some of that is because, remember, I'm talking about me because I'm already in the Greek. So whenever I see stuff, now when I see like Theta Nu Theta, I'm like, yeah, but y'all the alphas. It would have been nice if the alphas would have gave y'all some rank to like say, hey, y'all can use our likeness, use our actual stuff, to where just like the what was the rivals? Theta Nu Theta? TNT? They were the Muse, but the Muse. Who are they acting like? They sticking out their tongues, they wolves. I'm like, okay, y'all acting like the Qs, to where it's like, I understand what this is doing. This is me being on the other side of Greekdom. But prior, I saw all that stuff is fascinating because I just didn't know. Like, it was, I had to get older for people to school me to be like, nah, it's actually 9, here are the 9 type stuff.
But they were made up for a reason, though. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. The Kappas used to use the Playboy Bunny on everything. All you used to see is the Playboy Bunny. What did Hugh Hefner do?
He said, hey, it's a wrap. So even
they immediately had to remove that stuff because
that's what I'm saying.
You're gonna get sued.
Yeah. So even though we offer that same opportunity to like major corporations, I'm being vocal in saying, nah, like AKAs, it's not even petty at this point because they didn't have permission. So they do have a right to feel some type of way. Like,
yes, they have a right. They have right.
Y'all might have to pay. Oh, what's up? So give me some of that HBO money. You know what I mean? Yeah. For me, I would have liked to have seen it resolved in a peaceful manner. And this isn't far-fetched. Like, so I wanted to bring up a couple of examples where some honorary situations that throughout history where I always scratch my head like, okay, that happened for like some like cleanup duty. But like you mentioned, the Blair Underwood, Terrence Howard, I used to always see them on sites as Sigmas, and they weren't Sigmas. Phi Beta Sigma got it right and said, hey, we're going to make you guys honorary Sigmas or whatever. And then and another one, founded in 1906, the Alphas, one of their most prestigious honorary members is Frederick Douglass. Now, Frederick Douglass lived from February 1817 to February 20, 1895. The organization wasn't founded until like 11 years later. So that means they were even inducting people in death. So I'm saying it's not far-fetched for people to kind of fix up a situation or whatever. So yeah, and that one's kind of funny to me, but I'll let that slide. But yeah, so all in all, let us know what you think. I'm interested to hear from Greeks. If you think it may be an overreaction or underreaction, I'm also anxious to hear from individuals, pardon me, individuals who haven't been in the organization to say, hey, how does this look from the outside in? You know what I mean? So add your 2 cents down below and let us know.